Hello everybody. This video we will discuss about transitional provisions in GST. CBSE has issued a guidance note in transition provision which relates to GST. Earlier, before 1/7/2017, there were Customs Act, Central Excise Act, Service Tax rules, VAT rules, and many indirect tax rules were there. GST was introduced after 1/7/2017. These taxes were subsumed to GST. So the issue arises is that the taxpayers had a lot of unutilized input tax credit available under VAT, under central excise, under service tax, under any indirect tax. So the department CBSE has issued guidance note on GST transition credit, and these unutilized credit in other laws can be transitioned to the GST law, and it can be posted in the electronic credit ledger in GST, so that the taxpayer can use this unutilized credit in other laws for payment of GST liability. Here there are two fundamental principles in relation to GST transition credit. First one is that only that and VAT credit can be taken as credit under CGST in electronic credit ledger by filing PRAN 1, for which explicit legal authority exists in section 140 of the CGST Act. Only the permitted amount of transition credit can be availed under GST. The second one is that the sales and VAT credit cannot be availed as transition credit twice. There are two situations arising. First one is that the taxpayers file PRAN 1 also and GSTR 3B also showing this transition credit twice, these entries twice in 3B as well as PRAN 1. So they avail the same transition credit twice. And also the second situation is that they avail the transition credit twice by filling the same amount of transition credit in two different columns of in form PRAN 1. Another important factor to be verified is that there has been a huge growth of SANVAT credit in period of September 16 or September 16 to June 2017. Because of the increasing credit claim, it has been decided to collect information from the taxpayer to verify the correctness of credit availed by them, to verify that whether the credit is genuine or bogus. So the appropriate legal sanction of collection of this information is being examined. So the taxpayers need to provide the required information to the officers to scrutinize the amount of SANVAT credit claimed by the taxpayer. We will see the description of entries in PRAN 1 table. Only 6 entries are there in PRAN 1 table, which decides CGST credit. This is posted in electronic credit ledger. Only the CGST credit can be posted in the electronic credit ledger. That is an important point. SGST credit cannot be posted in the electronic credit ledger. Only CGST credit can be posted. The tables are as follows. Column 6 in table 5A. This table captures the details of Sunbat carried forward in the return ER1, 2, 3 or ST3. ER1, ER2, ER3 are filed by the taxpayers who has taken central excise registration, and ST3 are filed by the taxpayers who have taken service tax registration. It relates to period ending with 30/6/2017. The data relates to the period ending with 30/6/2017, subject to conditions specified in Section 140, Subsection 1 of CGST Act by manufacturers and or service providers. Column 11 of Table 6A. This table captures details of unavailed credit of capital goods in pre-GST era. As per Sunbat credit rules, 50% of the total credit related to capital goods can be claimed in first year and the balance 50% in subsequent year. A situation arises that the taxpayer avails the first 50% of the input tax credit and he could not avail the balance 50% because of migration to GST. He could not avail. So the taxpayers who wants to avail the balance 50% can fill the amount of balance input tax credit available in column 11 of Table 6A. Then column 6 in entry 7A in Table 7A. It pertains to credit claim of new taxpayers or taxpayers who are not registered or not part of Sunbat credit chain earlier. These are those taxpayers who are not registered under central excise or service tax. Here the credit can be claimed in Tran 1 in respect to inputs held in stock and inputs contained in semi-finished goods or finished goods held in stock. On appointed day is 1/7/2017, should be based on invoice or document evidencing payment of duty, including credit transfer document. These documents should be in support of availing the transitional credit, subject to fulfillment of other conditions specified in Section 140, Subsection 3, Section 140, Subsection 4, Clause B, Section 140, Subsection 6, and Section 140, Subsection 7, as the case may be. These are all the governing provisions in GST which relates to transitional credit. Then comes column 6 in entry 7B in Table 7A. This table pertains to credit claim by new taxpayer. Earlier, in column in Table 7A, column 6, that table pertains to credit claim by new taxpayers for manufacturers or service providers. Here, the table pertains to credit claim by new taxpayers who are neither manufacturers nor service providers. Means it pertains to credit claim by new taxpayer who are traders. Deemed credit of 60% of the central tax. Deemed credit at the rate of 60% of central tax will be applicable to where CGST rate is 9% or more, and 40% where CGST is less than 9%, which means that if the taxpayer registered under GST is having CGST rate of 9% or more, then deemed credit of 60% of the total transaction credit can be available. If it is less than the rate is less than 9%, then 40% of the total transaction credit can be available. The provision it applies where the SSC, the taxpayer, is not in possession of an invoice or any other document evidencing payment of duty, and it is available in respect of inputs only, which means that Section 140 permits transaction credit in respect of inputs only. In this case, the electronic credit ledger gets completed by submitting Tran 2 and not Tran 1. The important point to be noted is that the taxpayer should file Tran 2 in this case and not Tran 1. We will see which are the credits which is allowed to be transitioned as per Section 140 of the CGST Act. Section 140 of the CGST Act permits these items to be transitioned. First one is duty of excise specified in first schedule of Central Excise Tariff Act. Then the second one is duty of excise specified in second schedule of Central Excise Tariff Act 1985. Then additional duty of excise as per Section 3 of Additional Duty of Excise Textiles and Textile Articles Act 1978. Then additional duty of excise as per Section 3 Additional Duty of Excise Goods of Special Importance Act 1957. Then National Calamity Contingent Duty Section 136 of Finance Act 2001, and additional duty leviable under Section 3 subsection 1 of Customs Tariff Act 1975. Then additional duty leviable under Section 3 subsection 5 of Customs Tariff Act 1975. These are all the taxes or duties which are eligible to be transitioned under CGST Act 2017. Then we will move on to the next column. We will see the next column of Tran 1, column 8 in table 7. This table captures transition credit taken on such inputs or input services which were received after 1/7/2017. Which means that the inputs or input services are received after 1/7/2017, but the taxes were paid under this existing law, means under excise or under this service tax or under VAT, which means that the goods or services are in transit as on 1/7/2017, because goods were received only after 1/7/2017, but taxes were paid earlier. In this case, the amount of tax to be transitioned should be filled in column 8 of table 7. It does not apply to capital goods. It only applies to inputs and input services. It also captures the details of credit distributed by the input service distributor. Then comes column 9 of table 8. This pertains to centrally registered unit, which means input service distributor. The input service distributor is Sunvat credit is carried forward in last return is captured in table 5A, and the part or full of such credit can be distributed by the centrally registered unit or input service distributor. This person can distribute the total credit transition to various taxpayers under the input service distributor. The credit distributor can be distributed through column 9 in table 8. So after distribution of this credit, then the input tax credit distributed will be credited to the electronic ledger of the other taxpayers to whom the credit is distributed, and it will be debited in the corresponding ledger, electronic ledger of the centrally registered unit. Then comes column 7 in table 11. This transition credit in respect of supplies which attracted both VAT and service tax in pre-GST era. For example, work contract. Work contract in pre-GST era attracted both VAT as well as service tax. For VAT and service tax, both were paid before 1/7/2017, and the supply is made only after 1/7/2017. Then the taxpayer is entitled to take only CGST credit. Here, only CGST credit can be taken. The credit under VAT cannot be taken. Only CGST credit can be taken. The service tax, which is paid under the earlier law, service tax, as per Finance Act service tax rules, that only can be allowed to be transitioned using column 7 in table 11. Then the department also issued certain measures for verification of entries in Cranman table. First one is that verify the credit which has been taken against closing balance of Sunvat credit in ER1, ER2, ER3 or ST3, which means the credit which has been taken by filing ER1, ER2 or ER3 by persons who has taken central excise registration, or by ST3 for persons who has taken service tax registration. Credit can be taken only when last return was filed, and credit which is taken in table 5A. Table 5A pertains to entries by those taxpayers who was already registered under excise or service tax. That credit which is taken by in table 5A, it should not be more than the closing balance of that credit which is available in ER1, ER2, ER3 or form ST3, minus education, secondary education cess, Krishi Kalyan cess or Swachh Bharat cess. These cess cannot be allowed to be transitioned. So the balance of credit which is available should be calculated by considering total balance in of credit in ER1, ER2, ER3 or ST3 minus the education cess secondary higher education cess, Rishi Kalyan cess or Swachh Bharat cess. Also, large number of taxpayers who have taken credit only in table 5A, and that credit is correct as per the check done at the back end. For those taxpayers, there is a check to for ascertaining that whether the credit taken by the taxpayers are genuine. A check is there, so those taxpayers need not worry. But for those taxpayers who is having a growth higher than 25% and credit availed is greater than rupees 25 lakhs, there is a procedure as per para 11. Para 11.2. Taxpayers who have availed transaction credit of greater than rupees 25 lakhs and were closing balance of 10 lakh credit during period 1/10/2015 to 36/2017 is grown by 25% or more. They have to prepare a statement of purchases as per this format below. This format below. And this verification return is statement should be filed by a date to be notified. And a list of taxpayers for which this verification return is required to be filed. It is uploaded on Antarang. Antarang is a portal. It is designed by CBIC for tax officials, officers of indirect tax, in which these officers can log in using their username and password and also share the valuable information. So, as far as the taxpayers are concerned, the taxpayer should file a statement in this format and submit before the notified date. Then next check. As far as the credit of cess is concerned, example, Rishi Kalyan cess, Swachh Bharat cess, education cess, etc. These are not allowed to be transitioned as per GST Act. Also, VAT is also not allowed to be transitioned as per GST Act. So, availing Rishi Kalyan cess, education cess, and VAT under GST, it is not permitted as per the GST law. Third check. Check that the return must be filed for last 6 months. The assessee filing Tran 1 and taking credit in table 5A should have filed ER1 or ER2 regularly between January 17 and June 2017 and filed ER3 for a period ending March 2017 and June 2017, or if the taxpayer is service provider registered under service tax, then he should have filed Form ST3 for period ending March 2017 and June 2017. If in case many units have merged to one registration or single unit, or one unit has split into many units, then any of the merging unit who are filing the return under pre-GST, it will entitle the new unit to avail the credit in relation to that merging unit. If that merging unit, if one or more merging units were merged into another unit, the corresponding merging unit, if one merging unit filed the returns under pre-GST era, then the credit in relation to that merging unit will be available to the new unit under GST. Then we see check 4. Check 4 is available in table 6 in respect of credit on capital goods, which is not availed earlier excise or service tax, and it is remaining unavailable. If second installment of any capital goods is wrongly taken in table 5A and also it is correctly filled in table 6, means it is taken table 5A also and table 6 also, it will lead to double credit being taken. So we have to check whether the credit is taken double in table 5A as well as table 6. Then next check we need to find is that for some invoices having large credit, if the invoices are very old, if invoices very old means the invoices are more than 1 year old, then confirmation is to be taken from the assessee that the capital goods are in existence in the place of business. Then comes check 6. In case where credit is being shown by assessee who is registered in central excise or service tax on account of inputs relating to exempt goods, a check is to be made whether the assessee has followed the provisions of Rule 6 prior to period of GST. Means under the Rule 6 under Senvat credit rule. We see two different cases. Rule 6 sub-rule 2 of Senvat credit rules does not allow credit in Senvat register if only exempt goods were being manufactured. No credit can flow from return in relation to inputs in such cases. In the entry in table 5A in such case should be nil. The apportionment of credit on inputs and complete reversal thereof under Rule 6 took place at the time of removal of goods. It means that the reversal of credit, availment of credit, everything depends on the removal of goods. At the time of supply, in such case, is removal of goods as per central excise. So, if there is any credit in inputs or inputs containing semi-finished goods which existed in stock on date of transition, then in such case Rule 40 sub-rule section 40 140 sub-rule 3 Section 140 Subrule 3 of CGST Act should be satisfied. So, in this case, if the goods are not removed on the appointed date 1/7/2017 and also send VAT credit is underlying in inputs are then capital goods. Now inputs semi-finished or finished goods. It does not apply to capital goods. Inputs semi-finished or finished goods. Then section 140 subsection 3 to be satisfied. So you will see section 140 subsection 3 of the CGST Act 2017. Section 140 of the CGST Act 2017 prescribes the following conditions. The first condition is that the inputs or goods which are used or intended to be used for making taxable supplies under the Act, which means that under CGST Act, if inputs or other goods which are it is used or intended to be used for making taxable supplies, so much credit for making for those inputs and those goods which are used for making taxable supplies only the input credit which relates to inputs used for making taxable supplies is allowed under GST law. So that much portion of the tax is allowed to be transitioned as per GST law. For accepted goods, it is not allowed to be utilized. Second one, the registered person is eligible for input tax credit on such inputs under the Act. Then the registered person is in possession of invoice or any other prescribed document evidencing payment of duty under existing law as per in respect of such inputs. That taxpayer should be in possession of invoice or any other document which prescribes payment of duty, and such invoices should not be 12 months older than the appointed day. Appointed day is 1/7/2017 and those invoices should not be older than 12 months before the appointed day. The next condition, the last condition is that the supplier of services is not eligible for any abatement under the Act. If these conditions are satisfied, then only the taxpayer under GST can avail the transitional credit. Otherwise, he is not allowed to avail the transitional credit. If the taxpayer supplies exempted goods, is not eligible to avail the transition credit. Next case is that the taxpayer supplies exempted as well as non-accepted goods or services is manufactured or provided. Then proportionate amount of input tax credit which relates to non-accepted goods or services being manufactured or provided, that only can be taken by the taxpayer. If any credit has been taken by the taxpayer in relation to exempted goods or services, then the proportionate amount of credit should be reversed. Then we will see the check 7. In this case, per taxpayer who is a new taxpayer has availed credit using credit transfer document. A check is to be made that the CTD issued by manufacturer exists and CTD has been issued in terms of rule 15 sub-rule 2 of Denmark Credit Rules 2017. It should be read with notification number 21 of 2017 and reference dated 36/2017. Your capital goods having value more than ₹25,000 should be identified by the a distinct number. For example, if the person is a dealer of new car, if the capital goods is valued more than ₹25,000, it should be identifiable with respect to number of goods, number of capital goods as may be concerned. Then we will see check number 8. It should be checked that the credit on stock declared on which credit can be claimed in terms of Rule 117, sub-rule 4 of the CGST rule was reasonable. In this case, your stock declared is very high, then the stock declared as per VAT return or any other collateral document, the stock statement which is uploaded as per VAT or any other document in which stocks were declared should be cross-checked to find that the claim in relation to input tax credit underlying on stock is reasonable and it is genuine. It should also be noted that the credit of the stock, it should be available on sale being made and Tran 2 return also it should be filed. Tran 2 to be filed. In this case, here Tran 2 should be filed and not Tran 1. In case of dealers other than manufacturers or service providers. Then check 9. It should be checked that the assessee has not declared stock input tax credit relating to stock in any other table or he has not availed credit in table, say table 5A. Table 5A related to taxpayers who are already registered under central excise or service tax. Where the person is availing credit through Tran 2, then credit should not be availed through table 5A of Tran 1. It should be availed only through Tran 2. Then comes checks for table 7B. It should be checked that credit the duty paying document exists and take confirmation from taxpayer that the duty or tax paying document were recorded in the books of accounts of such person as per the conditions prescribed in law. Where goods are under transit and it is shown in a huge quantity or exorbitant quantity, then a transport verification should be done. It should also be verified that condition for availing input service distributor credit as per prescribed law. It should also be satisfied. Then comes check for table number 8. Check 11. Centralized registered unit who are means input service distributor who are distributed their credit through table 8. These units receiving credit, the units who are receiving credit are not required to file Tran 1 to receive the credit. If input service distributor distribute the credit, and so the recipient of credit need not file Tran 1 to receive the credit, the receiving unit receives credit automatically when the table 8 of Tran 1 is being filed by the centralized registered unit or service distributor. The credit to the recipient unit will be automatically reflected in their electronic credit ledger. So it should be checked that the receiving unit has not filed Tran 1 to avail this credit. If Tran 1 is filed by the receiving unit, then it will lead to double credit to the receiving unit. Also, confirmation from centrally registered unit should be received that the resultant credit is being credited to the recipient unit and the same is debited from the centralized registered unit or input service distributor as may be concerned. Then comes check for table 11. It should be checked that service tax claimed as credit under existing law and supplies were indeed made after 1/7/2017. So here service tax credit which is already paid before 1/7/2017 and services provided after 1/7/2017, it should be allowed to be transition, and transitional credit can be availed instead of service tax. As far as VAT is concerned, credit cannot be availed, transitioned and availed in respect of VAT. Then comes general check. Check number 13. It should be checked that the credit which can be taken legally through Tran 1, it should not be taken through Form GSTR 3B. If credit is taken through Tran 1 as well as GSTR 3B, it will result in double credit. So it should not be allowed, and this ITC should be taken only through Tran 1. It should be taken before the closing date of Tran 1, means the last date of filing Tran 1 was 27/12/2017. If there is only procedural irregularity, which means that Form GSTR, the credit is wrongly taken Form GSTR 3B instead of Tran 1, then taxpayer needs to submit a statement of reconciliation of ITC, and credit should be regularized or otherwise admissible per law. Then comes check number 14. We have already seen this earlier. If the taxpayer claims credit which is grown by more than 25% or the transitional credit availed by the taxpayer is more than ₹25 lakh, then he should furnish a statement as per the format below, and it should be submitted before the date to be notified. In relation to those taxpayers whose credit growth has been verified, would be verified as above, they may be advised to confirm from suppliers. The suppliers of goods and services they should collect the respective invoices or any other documents on the basis of which input credit is available. He should collect the invoice from the supplier and he should keep these documents for further verification and further scrutiny to prove that the input tax credit which is claimed by the taxpayer is genuine. Then comes the jurisdiction. The CGST officer of central government only have jurisdiction for verification of transitional credit of CGST. Irrespective of whether the taxpayer is allowed centralized registration or the registration by central government or state government for purpose of GST. If irrespective of whether the GST registration is granted by central government or state government, only the CGST officer of central government shall have the jurisdiction to verify the transitional credit. This is because that trans credit verification process can be done only by tax authority or legal jurisdiction under that law, and also require the past record of the taxpayer. Then the department, the CBSE also specifies procedure for verification. The first effort to be taken by the officer is that the officer should verify the genuinity of the tax credit on the basis of data which is of taxpayer which is there already in the hands of the department, and the department need not contact the taxpayer. Can verify the genuinity of credit of taxpayer on the basis of data and allow or disallow the transfer. If such verification requires the support of the taxpayer, a letter in return should be given to the taxpayer stating adequate need claim and calling for specific information which will help in assisting verification of the trans credit as per the checkpoints which we have discussed already. Verification can be based on the records furnished by the taxpayer, and it can be carried in the commissionerate itself after obtaining information from the taxpayer without visiting the premises of the taxpayer. Then comes the issuance of summons. Summons is the next step which is to be taken by the department officers in where even after requesting the taxpayer is not ready to share the information and there is a lack of unreasonable period of time from taxpayers end, then the department will issue summons to the taxpayer. The final step is enforcement action should be initiated by the department. Department initiates the enforcement action where transitional credit is very high and it does not commensurate with the economic activity of the taxpayer, and also the taxpayer is not cooperating with the verification even after giving the adequate opportunity. Even after giving letter, even after issuing summons, also taxpayer is not cooperating with the department, then the department will take enforcement action against taxpayer. Then next, another situation in which the department will issue enforcement action from taxpayer is that the department has received any collateral evidence for wrong availment of credit, and also the department feels that there are chances of disappearing by the taxpayer after utilizing the ITC. After utilizing the input tax credit, the taxpayer disappears and department feels so there are chances for his disappearing, and also the department can take the enforcement action against the taxpayer. As far as reversal of credit or recovery of this wrongly availed credit, reversal of wrongly availed credit or recovery of wrongly utilized credit, the circular has been issued by GST policy wing prescribing the procedure for reversal and recovery of credit. As far as the data availability is concerned, the data relating to TRAN and returns, it is available on AIO, means all-in-one database of the GST network, GSTN. However, additional registration message is being provided. High set of data is uploaded on Angarang site. The address. The 5 sets of data are TRAN1 data in respect of top 1,000 taxpayers in terms of availing TRAN credit data entered in individual tables, and the total CGST credit posted in their ledger has been provided in this data table. Past data pertaining to closing balance of HENVAT credit as per ER1 or ST2 returns is also uploaded for same PAN as they appear in 50,000 GSTNs. Relating to data above have also been uploaded many times. Earlier, one registration in pre-GST era, it is converted after GST into more than one registration. So, PAN-wise summary of closing balance of credit, which is also been uploaded, and the TRAN credit available. It can be cross-checked, and the genuinity of the TRAN credit can be verified through cross-checking. Then the taxpayers who have shown steep growth in credit of over 25% and have availed a credit of more than rupees 25 lakhs among the list of 50,000 top TRAN credit takers has also been uploaded. Reason for the excessive growth should be ascertained and informed in due course to the board. Then comes list of taxpayers who have taken registration from 1/10/2016 to 30/6/2017, and those are the entities other than limited companies, which means that the taxpayers lie in the categories of sole proprietorship, LLPs, HGOs, etc. Then a timeline is also being specified by the department for verifying the genuinity of TRAN credit. The timeline is that for taxpayers who have taken registration between 1/10/2016 to 30/6/2017, and taxpayers who have steep growth in credit over 25% and have availed credit of more than rupees 25 lakhs among the list of 50,000 top TRAN credit takers. This data should be verified from March to June 2008. The time period is March 1, 2018 to June 30, 2008. Then from July to September 2018, top 1/3 in terms of quantum of TRAN credit availed. Then from October to December 2018, next 1/3 in terms of quantum of TRAN credit availed. Then January to March 2019, bottom 1/3 in terms of quantum of TRAN credit availed. all the verification process in relation to TRAN credit is to be completed within 31st March 2019. Then comes the division of work by Chief Commissioner. Chief Commissioner will divide the work between executive and audit commissionerate to achieve best possible results. Record of results obtained may be maintained in the commissionerate and the report to the board in the format enclosed for each 4 phases conducted. Record of results obtained may be maintained in the commissionerate and the compiled report from the zone reported to the board. It is to be reported in this following format. Then comes self-assessment and correction. After checks made by the department, the taxpayer will be informed by the department through communication or credit notice as may be convenient, and the checks will be shared by the taxpayer. Taxpayer is encouraged to take corrective action on excessive TRAN credit availed in terms of law. Then GST Council has taken some decisions in respect to the TRAN credit, transitional credit. First one is that the taxpayer should not avail TRAN credit in case which means that the taxpayer should not avail credit under a dispute. If a credit is under a dispute as per excise or service tax, then the taxpayer is not able to take that disputed amount of credit. The taxpayer is not allowed to transition that disputed amount of credit under the transition provision. Then the next decision of the GST Council is that if that amount of credit transition is blocked credit as per section 17 subsection 5 of the CGST Act. Section 17 subsection 5 of the CGST Act prescribes those ITC, those input tax credit which is blocked under GST. If the transition credit pertains to the blocked credit as per section 17 subsection 5 of the CGST Act 2017, the taxpayer is not permitted to avail any of such ITC. Section 140 of the CGST Act also provides that transition credit of any such it is not allowed. If you like the video, please like, comment and share the video. For more updates, please subscribe to our channel. For further notifications, please press the bell icon. Thank you.